What's up, everybody? I'm Michael Allen, and this is the Movie Minute. This episode of the Movie Minute, we are talking about new action comedy, Love Hurts, starring Ke Huy Quan and Ariana DeBose. So, if you're looking for a non-spoiler review from a filmmaker perspective, let's jump on in. All right, so let's talk about Love Hurts. There's a lot of interesting things about this movie, but first and foremost, we can't help but cheer for Ke Huy Quan, right? He came out for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I think we all were so happy to see him make his way back to the silver screen. You can't help just want this guy to succeed, and you want to root for him. So his new movie, Love Hurts, right? It's right in line with a ton of what Hollywood is trying to capitalize on, right? The John Wick effect. Like, how much of the John Wick effect can we take that situation and twist it and turn it? We've got Nobody, and then we have this spin-off now that's officially attached to John Wick, Ballerina. And so it's just one of those successful formulas that Hollywood has deemed very makeable and can make money. So they're going to keep kicking these out. The story of Love Hurts surrounds Marvin Gable, played by Ke Huy Quan, and he's a successful realtor in suburbia USA with the typical angsty assistant in Leo Tipton who's dealing with anxiety and depression and trying to figure out the meaning of life and purpose for her. And then Marvin's old life comes back to haunt him, and it chases him down in the form of Ariana DeBose, who shows up as an old partner dealing with old enemies, and he has to figure out what does he need to do to resolve his past and pursue the dreams of his future. That is the gist of it with no spoilers. So let's jump in and talk about what I liked. Right off the bat, I can say this film is a lot of fun. Is it flawed? Absolutely. But I had fun. Just like I said before, Ke Huy Quan is a lot of fun to watch, and he is absolutely the highlight of this film. I think he reminded me a lot of the old Jackie Chan 80s and 90s movies, things like Police Story and Rumble in the Bronx. I mean, were those movies good? You could question that, but were they fun? Absolutely. And the guy who directed it, this is his first directorial debut. I mean, he's been a stuntman and stunt coordinator in the business for a long time, and so that made the action sequences truly incredible. I mean, the fight scenes are amazing in this film, so paired with Ke Huy Quan's amazing performance and his skill in martial arts. I mean, he did a lot of this. You can tell that it wasn't a stunt double for probably the majority of the fight scenes, and they are so fun and creative and interesting. I think there's a lot of interesting ways that they resolve fights and conflicts in this movie, and I really appreciated that. I will also say that Ariana DeBose is super fun. She gives a really good performance as well, just in terms of endearing. You are rooting for these characters to succeed, and when you achieve that in a movie, you've done something right. And so I'll give that to Jonathan, who directed this, as something he did well, is that we truly were rooting for these characters. There's some really fun cameos in this as well that I won't spoil, but really some great callbacks to Ke Huy Quan's past as well, and I enjoyed those little Easter eggs that popped up throughout the film. First, right off the top, these films are never known for depth of story, okay? They're never known as a film that's going to blow you away in the form of a theme that really impacts you, and that is very true here. I just think that the story from a thematic standpoint was very weak. It's really shallow. Honestly, you just didn't know why things were necessarily happening sometimes, and the reasoning for things happening was also very thin. And it's just something that you don't want to think a long time on the story because it just didn't have a lot of depth. I think the last thing that I didn't really like about this movie is I think it went a little too far into the John Wick space. And what I mean by that is there are some brutal, gory moments that happen in this movie, and it just didn't really fit, I think, the script and the tone of the film. I think you could have toned down the violence in terms of like the brutal kills, things that are really synonymous with John Wick. You could have toned that down a little bit and made it a little bit more of a date movie. This film I would have normally put in the date movie space, but I just don't know how many people want to see this type of thing during a date movie. I mean, there are some extremely brutal moments in this film. Even though they are portrayed comically, they still are extremely brutal and bloody. And it just was a bit too much for what I thought they were trying to do. So this film's gonna get trashed, right? It's not one of those films that gets super high ratings, but I will say overall, it is a very enjoyable film. It's fun. And so from an entertainment rating, just enjoyment scale, I give it a 7 out of 10. I had fun with this movie, absolutely. Now, from a critic's rating, when you start breaking down the script and the pace and the story and the depth of the story and the depth of the characters, everything kind of starts to fall apart. And so I would give it a 6 out of 10 for critics rating, with a caveat of the cinematography in this was incredible. So like you have that really boosting this rating a lot. The cinematography was great and I really enjoyed it. So averaged out 6.5 out of 10 for Love Hurts. So for the badge rating, I mean, I have 4 different ratings, right? I have Popcorn Bucket, absolutely worthy of a theatrical release. I have the Couch Potato, meant for streaming. I have Oscar Bait, that's gonna get some Oscar-worthy award season buzz. And then Dumpster Fire, which means it's just not worth your time. Love Hurts is a hard one to judge, but I will give it a solid Couch Potato. And that reason being, there are people that are going to enjoy this in theaters, but I think it's okay to not drop the 40, 50, 60 bucks to go see this as a date movie, but it could be a fun movie to watch at home with your significant other or with your friends. I see it becoming a cult classic in the world of Valentine's movies. There's not a lot of Valentine's movies out there, and this very much shoes itself into wanting to be a Valentine's movie. And so in that regard, I could see it streamed yearly and people just enjoying the Jackie Chan-esque style, the John Wick that Ke Huy Quan brings to the table here for this film. So at the end of the day, Love Hurts isn't perfect, but it is fun, and it's just fun to watch Ke Huy Quan explore his acting career again, and we can't help but wish him the best no matter what. Do me a favor and drop down in the comments and tell me what your favorite action comedy is. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe. Would love to have you on this movie journey with me. And if you're looking for non-spoiler reviews from a filmmaker perspective, this is the place to be, and I would love to have you here with me. And until next time, everybody, peace out.